guys come about this mall? What was it that gravitated you toward filming this and putting this out there?
I think initially Brad found the mall, but I think just always in our subconscious is just like things from our childhood that are kind of fleeting, and we're always kind of like with our past films like Rocket Fire Explosion and Glow, it's just things from our youth that we feel might be fading away, and we just kind of wanted to.
I'm so glad you guys are the team behind Glow. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, but that's pretty much it. But
Yeah.
he was on a road trip and came across the mall.
Yeah, I went inside and looked at it and saw that it hadn't been remodeled since it opened, and was like, oh, this fits the bill aesthetically. And then once we met some people in the mall, it was like, this is a good.
Did you have others in mind? Did you find some others? Because this is a nationwide problem. This is not just a singular one town issue. This is happening all over the place. I know it's happening where I live, and the idea of the inner mall is gone completely south and away. So was it ever, as soon as you found this place, that was it? You were ready to go, or were you contemplating other places?
I definitely looked at a lot of other malls online, just in like looking at dying malls. But no, once we found Jasper, it was like, the proximity is great. And we can go there often, which we had to do to make the film, and we just loved it, and we fell in love with the people there.
It's also a snapshot of it could be any mall anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And a guy with a mullet that had to sell it, right?
Yeah, Mike's awesome. We love Mike. He's the best.
Talk about engaging with the patrons and giving their take on what was going on and how important that was for you guys, because there wasn't many to probably talk to, but the ones that were still there, to talk to them and get their perspective. Was that the idea, was to kind of go from the inside out, or were you guys kind of just looking at it from an outsider perspective in that respect?
We went and spent a lot of time before we started filming and met people, and so we hung out with Robin in her flower shop and tried to convince her what we were doing. She thought it was super weird and why would we ever want to do this. But once they saw us sitting there and they knew we weren't going anywhere, they kind of
just let you in.
Yeah, and then we, everyone was so sweet though. They're just like the nicest people, and the guys playing dominoes and everyone that when we saw people that we thought were interesting and that might work for the film, we would just approach them, get their info, and then just say, hey, text us next time you're at the mall, and we'll probably be there. So yeah,
we definitely wanted to let them be the ones who told the story, not necessarily through our filter, only through the filter that we are nostalgic for malls and that we had this interest in the subject, but we really wanted to let them be the ones to tell the story of the mall.
How long were you guys embedded there for?
It's been like 9 months.
Yeah, 9 months.
Wow. And there's so much that goes on in the framework of the 90 minutes that you presented. I can't imagine what happened in 9 months.
Yeah, there's a lot of footage left. We didn't use a lot, but I mean, what we did, because you can imagine just being at the mall for 10 hours a day, sometimes it's, we were very much prepared and fine with nothing happening.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes nothing happened.
And we were also fine with if the film didn't work out, because it just, wasn't coming together. We were okay with that too. And that speaks to like it being an hour away from us. And also, we just liked being there too.
Yeah. So when did it come together for you? When did you feel like, okay, now we're ready to go and this is a movie?
Well, first when we met Mike, the caretaker of the mall, we were like, oh, this guy can definitely be the through line. And also Robin, having her sort of arc, looking at that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, we started to get magic every time we go, especially early on. And so I'd come home and cut these little vignettes together and be like, wow, this is really fun to watch and, interesting. And so once we had a bunch of those and, we're there for that at the time, we felt really good.
One of the things about documentaries that I always find fascinating, especially, and it happens with virtually all of them, is that documentarians go into this with a mindset of they're approaching it for one thing, or they're looking at opening the doors and saying, okay, we're just going to film and whatever happens, and then it subverts on them. It changes a bit, and it's either while they're filming or while they're editing. And so for you guys, how did that happen? Where do you feel like the point was that you really felt like this turned a little bit and changed? Did it do that for you?
I think like we definitely had a plan. Like we knew what kind of film we wanted to make. We knew what, we had all these in our subconscious, all of our heroes, filmmakers that, like that we wanted to pull from, and then we would allow things to just happen. But then I think once we realized that Robin was closing her shop and other stores were leaving, and then other stores, and then Mike started to open up to us about his zoo, and like things were just like presenting themselves. And I think that once we were there, we knew that we knew we had been there long enough, and we knew that we had kind of an ending, things just unfolded. Like when the last shot of the movie we didn't know if that was going to be the ending. We were just getting B-roll, and we set just a nice shot up, and we were just like letting it happen. And he was just sweeping and mopping, and then he talks to us as if we're just hanging out with him, and it just that was like the dream, and it felt so nice when he did that. He just looked at us.
He's a great narrator.
And he thought of something that he wanted to tell us, and he told us that, and then he just kind of walks off. So
nice. Is that how you see it?
No, for sure.
So talk to me. I mean, obviously, this movie wasn't made to make a conclusion about society and what we're going through and everything like that. But talk to me about your feelings, your personal perspective. Has it changed any in the idea that you wanted to present when you first went into this project? Have you felt, or do you feel vindicated that your thought process was the right one in terms of how we are viewing these malls and how this is going for our society?
Yeah, I think it was. We just wanted to show a portrait of like what a mall looks like in 2020 compared to what we sort of
remember.
Right, what we remember, which is everywhere right now. Mall nostalgia is like all over the place where you look, and it's very colorful, and it's neon, and it reflects our memories, but it doesn't reflect actually what's going on inside of the mall. And inside of the mall, you have both, sad things, and you also have very beautiful things, and I think we set out to capture that, and I feel like we did.
Yeah.
There's a nostalgia factor with everything. Vinyl has come back into play. 16 millimeter film for filmmakers is a nostalgia thing. Do you ever feel like, because of the nostalgia that we felt, that kind of mall will ever be again, or do you think we're long past that?
I think malls are evolving to facilitate like the area. So like we're from Houston, and there's a mall called Baybrook Mall, and that's the childhood mall that I went to, and it had pet stores and Aladdin's Castle, Tilt. It had a movie theater. Yeah, it had a food court, so you could go there all day and be like super happy. Sam Goody, whatever, and Sears,
a lot of those places are gone, but yeah.
But then that mall has evolved into, now they've like opened the ceiling up, and now they put plants, and it feels like you're outside, and they have like Louis Vuitton and like
the Apple Store.
Yeah, so it just feels, it's probably going to be nostalgic for a younger group now, that when they're our age, they're going to be like, oh, I remember that, and it's going to evolve to something else. Yeah. So the mall when Brad found this mall, it was like, this mall feels and looks like it's from our youth, and that's what kind of attracted us to that. But I think it's all, malls are going to evolve based on the area, and if like this mall, a carpet store came in right when we were done filming, like someone came into where Robin was at, and they put in a new store. So it's like they're facilitating like local businesses. You would never have a carpet store usually in a mall,
right? Yeah,
but it's a nice spot, and it works for them. So I think it all just depends on what works for the area.
Nice. So, what do you guys love about being indie filmmakers?
Well, the money.
The prestige?
Yeah, like getting on video.
Has it been hard to walk down the streets and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go anywhere. Yeah.
Eating big buffets.
Yeah,
I like buffets.
Yeah, I like buffets.
Helicoptering in here?
Yes. Yeah.
We just feel really fortunate to be able to make documentaries in a place like Slamdance. Yeah. Showing our film allows us to like it gets interest from distributors, and it might allow us to make another film. That's all we're trying to do, is make another film. And showing at a film festival like this, allows us to do that. So.